Welcome to Mindful English Podcast.
Welcome back to Mindful English. Today, we're talking about something that almost every English learner quietly struggles with.
Let me guess, the fear of being judged when speaking.
Exactly, that moment when you want to speak, but suddenly your mind says, what if I make a mistake? What if they think my English is bad?
I know that feeling very well. It's not even about English sometimes. It's about people's eyes, their reactions, their silence after you speak.
Yes, and the interesting part is most of that judgment is not even real. It's something we imagine.
But it feels real in the moment. It feels like everyone is listening, waiting for a mistake.
That's the judgment barrier. And today, we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to understand it.
So where does it come from? Why do we care so much about how we sound?
I think it starts early. In school, mistakes were corrected immediately, sometimes in front of others, so our brain started connecting speaking with risk.
So every time I speak English now, my brain thinks I'm back in a classroom being corrected.
Exactly, even if you're just having a normal conversation with a friend.
That explains a lot, because I notice I speak more freely when I'm alone or practicing by myself.
Because there is no audience pressure, no imagined judgment.
But in real life, we can't avoid people, so how do we deal with it?
We don't remove people, we change our relationship with their opinions.
That sounds powerful, but also difficult.
It is difficult at first, but here's a shift. Most people are not judging you as much as you think. They are thinking about themselves.
So I'm basically the only one fully focused on my mistakes.
In most cases, yes, and not realization alone can reduce a lot of pressure.
I wish I knew that earlier. It would have saved me from so many silent pauses.
And those silent pauses are exactly what we want to talk about next, because silence is not failure, it's part of communication.
So even hesitation is allowed?
Not just allowed, it's normal. Even native speakers hesitate.
That changes everything, because I always thought fluency means speaking without stopping.
Fluency is not perfection, it's connection.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And when you stop fearing judgment, you start focusing on meaning instead of mistakes.
So the goal is not to sound perfect, it's to be understood.
And that's where real confidence starts.
But I want to go deeper into this, because understanding the idea is one thing, but in real life, the fear still shows up.
That's true. Insight alone doesn't remove the feeling. So let's talk about how to actually deal with it in practice.
I'm listening, because in the moment when I'm about to speak, my mind goes completely blank.
That blank moment is important. It's not a sign of weakness. It's your brain trying to protect you from social risk.
So my brain thinks speaking English is dangerous?
Not English itself, the judgment around it. Your brain is reacting to people, not language.
That makes sense. So what do I do when that reaction happens?
First step, don't fight it. Most people try to force confidence, but pressure actually increases fear.
So I shouldn't try to push through it?
Not aggressively. Instead, acknowledge it. Something like, okay, I'm nervous, but I can still speak.
That sounds simple. Maybe too simple.
Simple doesn't mean weak. It means realistic. You're not trying to delete fear, you're learning to move with it.
Okay, so what's the second step?
Reframe the situation. Instead of thinking, they are judging me, change it to, they are trying to understand me.
That's a big shift.
It is a big shift because judgment creates pressure, but understanding creates space.
But sometimes people do react badly. They laugh or correct me in a harsh way.
That happens, but even then, the question becomes, what does that moment mean about you?
I guess nothing about my worth.
Exactly. It might say something about their behavior, not your ability.
I think I used to mix those two things together.
Most learners do. One correction becomes, I am bad at English. One laugh becomes, I shouldn't speak.
So how do I stop that connection?
By repetition and exposure, you slowly teach your brain that speaking is safe again.
Exposure sounds scary.
It can feel uncomfortable at first, but it doesn't mean throwing yourself into extreme situations.
So what does it look like in real life?
Small steps. For example, speaking one sentence in English every day in a low-pressure environment.
Like with a friend I trust.
Exactly, or even talking to yourself or recording your voice privately.
I actually avoid recording myself because I don't like how I sound.
That's very common, but your voice is not the problem. The problem is unfamiliarity.
So I just need to get used to it?
Yes, familiarity reduces fear. The more you hear yourself, the less strange it feels.
Okay, but what about speaking with real people? That's the hardest part.
Then we change the goal of the conversation.
What do you mean?
Instead of aiming for perfect English, aim for successful message delivery.
So if the other person understands me, I win?
Exactly, even if the grammar is not perfect.
That feels more achievable.
It is, and it removes the pressure of performance.
I think a lot of my fear comes from wanting to sound good enough.
And that good enough is often undefined, so your mind keeps moving the target.
True. I never know when I've reached it.
That's why we replace it with clarity. Did I express my idea? Not, did I sound perfect?
I like that shift.
There's another important part too, self-compassion in real time.
Self-compassion while speaking?
Yes, because most people mentally attack themselves during conversations.
That's exactly what I do. I correct myself in my head while still talking.
And that splits your attention. Instead of focusing on communication, you focus on self-criticism.
So I should stop correcting myself mid-sentence.
If it interrupts your flow, yes, let the sentence finish first. You can reflect later.
That actually feels freeing.
Good, because fluency grows in flow, not in interruption.
So let me summarize. I accept the fear, I reframe judgment, I practice small exposure, and I focus on meaning instead of perfection.
That's a strong summary.
But I still have one question.
Go ahead.
Will the fear ever completely disappear?
Honestly, for most people, it doesn't disappear completely.
That's a bit disappointing.
But it becomes quieter, much quieter, to the point where it no longer controls you.
So confidence is not the absence of fear.
It's the ability to speak with fear in the background.
That's the most realistic definition I've heard so far.
And also the most useful one.
Because it makes speaking feel possible, even when I'm not fully ready.
And that's the real goal, not perfection, participation.
I like that. Participation, not perfection.
Exactly. And once you accept that, the judgment barrier starts losing its power.
Maybe it was never a wall, just something I made bigger in my mind.
And now you know how to walk through it, not fight it.
I think what surprises me the most is how much of this happens inside my own mind. The situation outside is usually simple, but inside my head it feels huge. That's a very important observation. The judgment barrier is often not built by people, it's built by interpretation. So it's not what people do, it's how I read what they do.
Exactly. Two people can hear the same reaction. One feels encouraged, the other feels ashamed. The difference is internal framing.
That explains why some learners stay confident even with mistakes, and others stop speaking completely.
Yes, it's not about having perfect English, it's about having a stable mindset while using imperfect English.
But how do I actually change that inner interpretation? It feels automatic.
It does feel automatic at first, but we can retrain it slowly by noticing patterns.
What kind of patterns?
For example, when you make a mistake, what is your first thought?
Usually something like, I sound stupid, or I shouldn't have said that.
That's the pattern we want to interrupt, because that sentence is not a fact, it's a habit.
So what should I replace it with?
Something more neutral, like, I made a mistake, but I'm still communicating.
That feels less harsh.
And more accurate. because communication didn't stop, it continued.
I never thought about mistakes like that. I always saw them as failures.
That's because many learning environments treat mistakes as final results, but in real communication, mistakes are just part of the process.
So a mistake is not an ending point. It's just a moment inside the sentence of learning.
I like that. Yes, exactly.
But there is still something I struggle with. Even when I know all of this, I still feel nervous before speaking.
That's completely normal. Knowledge and emotion don't move at the same speed.
So I can understand it logically, but still feel afraid emotionally.
Yes, and that gap is where growth happens.
That makes sense, but it's also uncomfortable.
Growth usually is, but we can make it easier by changing expectations.
What kind of expectations?
Instead of expecting, I will feel confident, expect, I will feel nervous, but I will still try.
So I prepare for nervousness instead of waiting for it to disappear.
Exactly. That removes disappointment and builds consistency.
I think part of my fear also comes from comparing myself to fluent speakers.
Comparison is a powerful trigger because it shifts your focus from your progress to someone else's outcome.
So I'm not seeing their journey, only their result.
Yes, you see their fluency, but not their years of silence, mistakes, and practice.
That makes it feel unfair.
And unfair comparisons always increase pressure.
So how do I stop comparing?
You don't completely stop it, but you redirect it. Instead of, why am I not like them, ask, what did they do that I can practice today?
That turns comparison into learning.
Exactly. It becomes a tool instead of a trap.
I also notice something else. When I feel safe with someone, my English becomes much better.
That's a key insight. Safety changes fluency.
So confidence is not only internal, it also depends on the environment.
Yes, environment can either increase pressure or reduce it.
So that means I should choose practice situations carefully.
Not avoid challenges, but start where your nervous system feels less threatened.
Like supportive friends or slow conversations.
Exactly. You build confidence in safe spaces, then expand gradually.
So I used to think I had to force myself into hard situations to improve.
That approach often creates resistance instead of growth.
So gentle practice is not weakness.
Not at all. It's strategy.
I think I'm starting to see the full picture now. The fear of judgment is not something I defeat once. It's something I learn to manage repeatedly.
That's a very grounded understanding.
And over time, it becomes smaller.
Or you become larger than it.
I like that idea better.
Because then the focus is not on removing fear, but on expanding your ability.
So the goal is not to become fearless, it's to become flexible.
Exactly. Flexible enough to speak, even when your mind isn't fully comfortable.
That feels more realistic than trying to be perfect all the time.
And realism is what makes progress sustainable.
I think this changes how I want to practice English from now on.
And that is where real transformation begins.
I keep thinking about something you said earlier, that confidence is not the absence of fear, but speaking with fear in the background.
Yes, and that idea becomes even more powerful when you apply it consistently in real situations.
But in real life, when I actually start speaking, I don't have time to think about these ideas. Everything happens so fast.
That's true. In real conversations, you don't think your way into confidence. You build patterns before the conversation happens.
So it's more like training than thinking.
Exactly. You prepare responses so your brain has something familiar to rely on under pressure.
What kind of preparation are we talking about?
Simple speaking habits, not complicated grammar rules. Things like daily self-talk in English or repeating common sentences out loud.
Even talking to myself?
Especially that, because self-talk removes judgment completely. There is no audience, so your brain relaxes.
I never realized that something so simple could actually help with fear.
Simplicity is what makes it sustainable. If something is too complex, your brain avoids it when stress increases.
That explains why I always stop practicing when I feel overwhelmed.
That's true. In real conversations, you don't think your way into confidence. You build patterns before the conversation happens.
So the goal is to build a system you can still use when you're tired, nervous, or distracted.
That makes sense. But I still struggle with one thing. The moment I hear myself make a mistake, I instantly lose confidence.
That reaction is automatic, but it can be softened. The key is how quickly you recover after the mistake.
Recovery speed?
Yes, fluency is not about avoiding mistakes. It's about how fast you continue after them.
So fluent speakers also make mistakes, they just don't stop.
Exactly. They repair and continue without emotional interruption.
Emotional interruption. I like that phrase, because that's exactly what happens to me.
Your brain pauses the conversation and starts an internal evaluation. That's what breaks flow.
So I should train myself to continue even while I feel that evaluation happening.
Yes, you acknowledge it without letting it take control of the sentence.
That sounds difficult at first.
It is, but there's a simple technique: forward focus.
What does that mean?
It means your attention stays on the message you are trying to deliver, not on how you are delivering it.
So I don't analyze myself while speaking.
Right. You speak forward, not inward.
That actually explains a lot. I think I spend more time thinking about myself than the conversation.
Most learners do. That's why conversations feel heavy instead of natural.
So how do I shift that focus in real time?
By anchoring your attention on one simple goal. What is the next idea I want to express?
Not, is my English correct?
Exactly, because correctness is secondary in communication. Meaning comes first.
I feel like this is slowly changing how I define speaking English.
That's the purpose of this series, not just to improve English, but to change the relationship with English.
I also noticed something. When I stop worrying about judgment, I actually speak more clearly.
That's a natural effect. Anxiety reduces cognitive space. When anxiety drops, clarity increases.
So fear actually blocks my ability to think in English.
Yes, not because you lack ability, but because attention is divided.
That makes me realize something important. Maybe I was blaming my English level when the real issue was my mindset.
And that realization is often the turning point for learners.
But even knowing that, I still expect judgment sometimes.
And that's okay. Expectation doesn't disappear instantly, but your response to it can change.
So I don't need to stop expecting judgment, I just need to stop obeying it.
Exactly. You notice it, but you don't follow it.
That feels like a skill I need to practice daily.
It is, and like any skill, repetition matters more than intensity.
So small daily conversations are more powerful than rare big attempts.
Yes, consistency builds familiarity, and familiarity reduces fear.
I think I finally understand why progress sometimes feels invisible.
Because it's happening internally before it shows externally.
That actually gives me more patience with myself.
And patience is a key part of sustainable fluency.
So if I summarize this part, I should focus on forward thinking, quick recovery, and simple daily practice.
That's a very accurate summary.
And slowly, the fear of judgment becomes less powerful.
Not gone, but quieter and easier to ignore.
That feels like real progress. It does, but I want to talk about something a bit more personal now, because even when I understand everything we said, I still sometimes avoid speaking.
That's an important honesty. Understanding doesn't always translate into action immediately.
It's like I know what I should do, but I still hesitate at the last moment.
That last moment is where habit is stronger than logic.
So it's not about knowledge anymore, it's about habit.
Exactly. Your brain isn't asking what is correct, it's asking what is familiar.
And avoiding speaking feels familiar sometimes.
Yes, because avoidance gives temporary relief from discomfort.
But that relief is short-term.
And it comes with a cost, slower progress and more fear over time.
So I'm basically training my brain to fear speaking by avoiding it.
In a way, yes, because the brain learns from repetition, not intention.
That's a bit uncomfortable to hear, but it makes sense.
Awareness is not always comfortable, but it's what allows change.
So how do I break that cycle without forcing myself too hard?
By making speaking feel less like a performance and more like a small interaction.
What's the difference?
Performance feels like evaluation. Interaction feels like exchange.
So instead of I have to speak correctly, it becomes I'm sharing something.
Exactly. That shift removes pressure from identity.
Identity?
Yes, because when you think, I am an English speaker being tested, every mistake feels personal.
But if I'm just sharing a message,
Then mistakes become normal parts of communication, not reflections of who you are.
I think that's one of the biggest shifts for me so far.
It changes the entire emotional weight of speaking.
But I still have a question about confidence. Sometimes I feel confident one day, and the next day I feel like I forgot everything.
That fluctuation is completely normal. Confidence is not a fixed state.
So confidence comes and goes?
Yes, it depends on sleep, mood, environment, even who you're talking to.
That explains why I feel inconsistent.
Inconsistency is not failure. It's how human learning works.
So I shouldn't judge myself based on one bad day.
Exactly. You judge progress across weeks, not moments.
That feels more fair.
Fairness is important when building long-term habits.
I also noticed something else. When I speak with someone supportive, I suddenly sound much better.
That's because psychological safety directly impacts fluency.
So my environment is part of my English ability.
Yes, not your grammar ability, but your speaking performance.
That's interesting because I always blamed myself, not the situation.
Most learners internalize the struggle as a personal limitation, but context plays a huge role.
So choosing the right people to practice with actually matters.
Very much. Safe conversations build the foundation for confident speaking.
And then I can slowly expand to more challenging situations.
Exactly. You build stability first, then expand pressure gradually.
I feel like this removes a lot of guilt I used to have.
Guilt often comes from unrealistic expectations of constant confidence.
So it's okay not to feel confident all the time?
Not only okay, it's expected.
That's surprisingly relieving.
Relief is what makes consistency possible.
So if I connect everything we talked about, judgment, fear, habits, environment, it's all connected.
Yes, it's a system, not a single problem.
And that means there is no single quick fix.
Exactly. But there are small, consistent actions that change the system over time.
Like speaking daily, even if it's just a few sentences.
Yes, small actions repeated are more powerful than rare big efforts.
I think I'm starting to see English differently now.
How so?
Less like something I have to master and more like something I live with.
That's a very important shift.
And maybe the judgment barrier was never the real problem.
What do you think it was?
Maybe it was just my reaction to discomfort.
And reactions can be changed.
Slowly, but they can be changed.
Exactly. And that's enough for real progress.
You know, I think I used to wait for a moment where I would suddenly feel ready to speak English, like there would be a day when fear just disappeared.
A lot of learners wait for that moment, but it rarely comes the way they imagine.
So there is no ready moment?
Not in the way people expect. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives first. It's something that is built while you speak.
So that changes everything, because I was always postponing speaking until I felt ready.
And that postponement becomes part of the fear cycle.
So I was basically putting confidence in the future.
Yes, but confidence only grows in present action.
That's difficult because the present moment is exactly where I feel the fear.
And that's why courage is not the absence of fear, it's action despite it.
I think I understand that on a deeper level now.
Good, because understanding becomes powerful only when it is repeated in real situations.
But what if I fail? What if I try to speak and it goes badly?
Then something very important happens. You collect data, not identity.
Data, not identity.
Yes, a bad conversation is information about what to improve, not proof that you are bad at English.
I like that distinction because I always turned one bad experience into a label.
That's the judgment mechanism. It converts moments into identities.
So instead of I failed, it becomes this attempt didn't work.
Exactly, and that small change protects your confidence.
I feel like this whole series is really about protecting confidence while still practicing.
That's a good way to see it, because confidence is fragile at the beginning, but it can be strengthened over time.
But I still want to ask something. Do confident speakers never feel judged?
They do. The difference is they don't organize their behavior around it.
So they feel it, but they don't obey it.
Exactly.
That sounds like emotional freedom.
In a way, yes. Not freedom from feelings, but freedom from control.
I think I used to think fluency means no mistakes, no fear, no hesitation.
That's a very common misconception.
But now it feels more like continuing despite all of that.
Yes, continuity is the core of fluency,
even if my sentences are imperfect.
especially then.
I also realized something during this conversation. The more I think about judgment, the more power I give it.
That's a key insight. Attention amplifies experience.
So if I constantly monitor how people see me, I increase my anxiety.
Yes, because your focus turns outward in a threatening way instead of inward toward communication.
So what should my focus be in real conversations?
Meaning, always meaning.
What I want to say, not how I look while saying it.
Exactly. That's forward presence.
Forward presence. I like that idea.
It keeps you inside the conversation instead of inside your self-evaluation.
I think that's the real difference between struggling and flowing.
It is.
So if I stop this series today, what is the one thing I should remember?
That speaking English is not a test of your worth.
It's communication.
Exactly. A human exchange, not a performance.
And judgment is just noise in the background.
Noise that becomes quieter the less attention you give it.
I think I'm starting to feel less afraid already, not because fear is gone, but because I understand it differently.
And that understanding is what changes everything over time.
So maybe the goal was never to eliminate judgment,
What do you think the goal is?
to speak anyway, with it still there.
And that is fluency in its real form.
I like that version of English learning much more.
Me too.